But there are no devotees. If you can't chant anything, just chant Hare Krishna. I'm sure really read that question. All right, how can one reach the Shuddha Sattva state? So what is the Shuddha Sattva state before we talk about reaching? The Shuddha Sattva state means pure goodness. You know, there's ignorance, there's passion, then there's goodness. And in goodness, one is detached, one is thoughtful. But goodness is always mixed with passion or ignorance in some proportion, like the way colors mix from other colors. But when we talk about Shuddha Sattva, that means absolute goodness, pure goodness. Well, pure goodness is the transcendental state. And how can one reach the Shuddha Sattva state? By chanting Hare Krishna. That's what we're doing. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shat. Platform of pure goodness is also called the Vasudeva platform. Or it's the Krishna platform, the platform on which Krishna is. Or by chanting Hare Krishna, we reach the Krishna platform. Not that we become Krishna, but as the verse said, we realize our qualitative identity with Krishna. As the drop of water has the same qualities as the ocean. You have the same qualities as Krishna, just in small proportion. Why do devotees fail to treat their wives and children as Vaishnavas? Probably because they're wives and children. There's a bunch of kids playing in the next room, even though they're Vaishnavas, they're kids. So why do devotees fail to treat their wives and children as Vaishnavas? Well, because they're wives, and that's as much as I can figure out. I don't have that more profound answer for this. I can tell you the story that Prabhupada told when in his householder life he had his son on his lap, and one of Prabhupada's godbrothers came and visited him, and he was saying to the child, "Oh, you're keeping your feet on the body of a Vaishnava?" The child said, "He's not a Vaishnava, he's my father." Is all knowledge good knowledge? I read anything and everything I find within reason. Is this water? No, it's stupid. Not stupid, inadvisable. Because not all knowledge is good knowledge. Knowledge is worthy of the name knowledge. Yes. Did you turn it up or something? In the Ishopanishad, Vidyam Chayas, Anyayamritam Vidyaya, Anyadevahur Vidyaya, Anyadahur Vidyaya, Vidyayam Rityum Tirtva, Vidyayam Tamashmati. It's said that one objective is reached, one goal is reached by the cultivation of knowledge, and another by the cultivation of so-called knowledge or ignorance. If we fill our minds with anything and everything, then the mind, that agitates the mind. Instead of fixing the mind on Krishna, now we're going here and there and everywhere. I read this, I read that, I watch this movie, I watch that movie, this documentary, that documentary, I attend this lecture, that lecture. And my mind is, I read this newspaper, that newspaper, and it's because it's knowledge. Actually, the senses are called, there are two kinds of senses, karmendriyas and gyanendriyas. The gyanendriyas are called the senses, the knowledge-gathering senses. So when you look around, you'll see things, you're getting, shall we say, information, visual information. And the ears are getting auditory information. And the nostrils are getting olfactory information, gustatory information from the tongue. So the senses are getting knowledge, gyan, or information. It's not all good. Some of those things I really shouldn't be seeing. Some of those things I really shouldn't be hearing. Some of those things I really shouldn't be touching. You touch fire, you'll get information, but it may be not the information you want. The senses should be controlled, and the mind should be controlled. If you're reading pornography, you're getting information or knowledge of a certain kind, but it's not healthy. Like eating. Should I eat anything and everything? It's all, food for somebody. This is food for the dogs, this is food for the hogs, this is food for the meat eaters, but should I just eat anything and everything because it's all food? I should eat food that's, even in the Bhagavad Gita, there's food in passion, there's food in ignorance, there's food in goodness. So food that's too hot, too salty, too sour, too sweet, charged up, is food and touch. And food that's rotten, stale, putrid, left behind by somebody else, this is food and ignorance. And food that's healthy, hearty, sustained, juicy, these are foods in goodness. You can eat anything, but one is advised to eat food that's in the mode of goodness, or still better, food offered to Krishna. Not that, well, everything's food, so I'm on the absolute platform, everything is one. If everything is one, then we eat school. If everything's not one, we discriminate. Healthy food, nasty food. So knowledge is like that also. There's healthy knowledge, and then there's knowledge that's distinctly unhealthy. Another knowledge that's just useless, it doesn't get us anywhere, it just spins our minds around, and at the end, like the newspapers, everybody reads the newspapers, and at the end of, say, depending on whether you're reading like the Independent or the Times, at the end of 10 minutes or half an hour or whatever it is, how do you feel? Do you feel enlightened? Do you feel God realized? Do you feel exhilarated? I read the newspaper. It's so great. It's just dull news of the material world. So if you read the newspaper your whole life, at the end of your life, you don't really know anything. You just wasted your time. But if you spend that time reading Bhagavad Gita, you do become self-realized, you do become happy. We had a friend of ours was working for a big construction company, Dastur, in India, in Bombay. And he lived in Ontario, in the northern part of, and every day he used to go to work at Narrowing Point, which was in the traffic an hour away. Many of you know, in India, people don't drive, they have drivers. On the commute, he would spend the time reading the newspaper. And then he saw someplace that there was a lecture given at Juhu in our temple by a devotee of some stature. So he attended the lecture and he heard that there's so much to be learned in Bhagavad Gita, so he picked up a copy of Bhagavad Gita. And on his commute, he would read the Bhagavad Gita. And the result is that he became a devotee of Krishna, just by substituting Bhagavad Gita for the newspaper on his daily commute. If he'd gone on reading the newspaper, he just would have gone on plodding along in material life. Because he read Bhagavad Gita, he became a devotee. We are advised to be selective about what we read. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Gramya Katha na shunide. Don't give attention to dull, mundane topics, or what's called village talk. Sometimes I'm asked, what is the goal of Krishna consciousness? Is the most correct answer going back to Godhead? A, going back to Godhead, or B, developing love of God? Please, can you explain this topic? They're both good, because our goal definitely is to go back to Godhead. B, it's still better to develop love of God, because if you develop love of God, you go back to Godhead anyway. That's included. What would you rather have, the $200 bill or the $500 bill? So developing love for Krishna is the 500-pound note. It's the greater goal, because when you go back to Godhead, just to go, now what? All right, I got back to Godhead. What do I do here? But the business of one pursues there is to love Krishna and to engage in service to Krishna, in transcendental loving service. So this devotional service to Krishna is our real nature, just as the nature of water is to flow, or the nature of chili is to give heat. So the nature of the soul is to love Krishna. And we want to revive that eternal nature. And when we do that, going back to God is just included in the package. What is the most transcendental event or experience you have witnessed that you are happy to share with us today? I just don't know. The most transcendental. I need a context or something. The most. Sorry, it's not a bad question. I just don't have an answer. What's the difference between Mayavadi and impersonalist? Not much. Really, Mayavadi and impersonalist are pretty much equivalent terms. The Mayavadis think that everything is illusion, and so there's only either void or something impersonal. The absolute is real but impersonal, where there is no absolute. So you have a void, or you have an almost void. So this is Mayavadi impersonalism. Pretty much. The difference between personalist and impersonalist, that's the real divide. between the Mayavadis and the devotees. They're opposite ends of the spectrum. They're both transcendentalists. But the impersonalists stop at the formless absolute, and the devotees keep going to the personality. If the Kumars are suggested to be monists, how did they make it to the gate of Vaikuntha? You can be a monist and make it to the gate of Vaikuntha. They're great philosophers. The Kumars, they were exceedingly exalted sages. So they could make it as far as the gates of Vaikuntha, but they couldn't get it. Also, it's suggested in somewhere that really nothing works without some admixture of devotional service. One may be a muni, but there has to be some element of devotional service there, some bhakti there, in order to make progress even on that path. So, but without a serious, or what would you say, substantial element of bhakti, it remains just Gyan, philosophy, and so on. Even the karmis, with some mixture of bhakti, they can make some further progress. The yogis, some mixture of bhakti, they can make further progress. Some bhakti has to be their charge, their path. Kumars were substantially monists. They appreciated the absolute truth. Even that you can say is a kind of bhakti, to have appreciation that there is an absolute truth, that the absolute is the greatest, that we're dedicated to the absolute truth. That can be counted as sort of the bottom rung of bhakti. But without specific knowledge of the personality of God, that it remains. So the Kumars were highly exalted philosophers. They could get as far as the gates of Vaikuntha. But when they smelled the tulsi offered at the lotus feet of the Lord, that changed their minds and they became attracted. Shukadeva Goswami also was a highly advanced monist philosopher. When he heard the pastimes of Krishna, he became attracted. Therefore it said, the transcendental qualities of Krishna are so attractive that even those who are self-satisfied sages would be attracted to it. Why is life by design such that in order for one to survive, another must die? Everything to be consumed as one's living. Yes, it's true. In Bhagavatam it said, Jiva Jivasya Jiva. One living being provides the life for another. That's it. Why is it designed that way? Well, I don't know. I'm not the designer. In one sense, everyone becomes the instrument for someone else's karma. It's my karma to have my house, and so someone else has the karma of robbing my house. So in this way, we're all causing trouble for one another. The nature of the material world. Therefore, one of the miseries is adipotic miseries caused by other living beings. That's the design of the world. I cause trouble for you, you cause trouble for me. Why is it designed? I would have to ask Krishna. But it's quite a neat arrangement, actually. Like his ears, and Kid B, you hold on to the ears of Kid A. And then the teacher would say, now pull. So the two misbehaving children become the cause of trouble for one another. Can lust turn into love? Yes. When it's directed toward Krishna, then lust can become love. Admendriya priti vancha taripali kam. Krishnendriya priti vancha tare prema. When my desire is directed toward my own sense gratification, then it's lust. And when the same desire is directed toward Krishna's sense gratification, then it becomes love. So we all have desires. How those desires being contaminated by material energy are largely lusty desires. I want to enjoy, I want to enjoy, I want to enjoy. But by purification of consciousness, by Krishna consciousness, we can understand philosophically, oh, I want to enjoy, but I'm not enjoying. It's not my nature actually to be the enjoyer. It's my nature to be the servant of these things. That I'm trying to enjoy. Not only am I not enjoying, but my program for enjoyment is bringing suffering on my head. The more I try to enjoy, the more I suffer. What kind of project is this? This is not working. Intelligent person philosophically would think that. Or just by good association, he comes to into the association of those who have a higher way of life, and you think, so this is so much better. Let me do what they're doing, because I'm miserable, they're happy. My life doesn't make any sense, their life seems sensible. Fortune, by philosophy, by mercy, his mind can change. And then when the mind changes, instead of wanting to satisfy his own senses, he thinks, let me satisfy Krishna's senses. Dhruva Maharaj, for example, underwent severe austerities in order to get a kingdom. He was frustrated, the son of the less favored wife of the king. He was insulted by his stepmother that you can never become the king because you're not my son. So he was just 5 years old, he went crying to his mother. His stepmother said, his mother said, it's true, what can I do? I'm the less favored wife. So then, what can I do? Well, only God could help you. And where do I find God? Well, I don't know, but sages go to the forest. He went off to the forest. And he was favored by Narad Muni. Narad came to instruct him, and after great austere yoga practice, he saw the personality of Godhead. And his goal had been to get a kingdom as greater as his father's or greater than his father's. So then he saw the Lord, and the Lord said, well, yes, what can I do for you? He said, I don't want anything. I just want to serve you. That means lust or desire for his own sense gratification, his own aggrandizement, became a desire to please Krishna. What should you think about when chanting? And how do you train your mind to stop wandering during chanting? Well, this is a great topic. Very good question. Lately, I've seen some very good books on this topic. Sachinanda Maharaj has written a book. Srila Prabhupada has written a book. Satsvarup Maharaj has written a book. There are quite a number of books written by ISKCON devotees on this topic. What should you think about? First thing is, you don't have to really think about anything. That's one of the great things about chanting Hare Krishna. You don't have to think of something. You don't have to, it's not like there are forms of meditation. You have to fix your mind on something that you envision within yourself, or vision within your mind. You don't have to do all that. It's a lot of work, and it's hard to do. Just chant and hear. You don't have to worry about, should I think about this, should I think about that. Just chant Hare Krishna and hear his sound. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada one time said, chanting is thinking. You don't have to separately think about Krishna. Just chant Hare Krishna and hear Hare Krishna. Because there's no difference between Krishna. I mean, what would you like to think about? You like to think about Krishna the person, right? His form, his qualities, his pastime, something about Krishna. There's no difference between Krishna, the name, and Krishna the person. So if your mind is focused on the sound of Krishna's holy name, then all those things that you like to think about are included. So you don't have to separately think. You just have to fix the mind on the transcendental sound. That's the easiest method of approach. And then by chanting Hare Krishna, then as you go on chanting, naturally the mind becomes purified, and naturally you'll think of Krishna's qualities, or Krishna's form, or Krishna's pastimes. These things will come to mind, especially if you're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, not reading all those other sorts of books of knowledge, the times of London, and this book and that book. If your mind is absorbed in Krishna topics, speaking about Krishna, hearing about Krishna, reading about Krishna, then while chanting Hare Krishna, well, naturally, if you think about something, you'll think about Krishna. That's the purified stage. In our present stage, we sit down to hear Hare Krishna, and we think about, well, there's no end to what we think about. We think about, he did this to me and I'll get even. We think about, when's this chant, how long is it going to take me to chant this many rounds? We think about the appointment that we have in 2 hours from now. We think about what kind of service we have in mind, and what paraphernalia and ingredients and logistics we need for the service. We think about this, we think about that, we think about our old girlfriend, we think about a song from 2000, the pop song from 2005 that we thought we'd forgotten, but it suddenly appears in our head. we think about, there's no end to it. The mind is just a reservoir of various impressions and ideas, and the mind is so busy reminding us of this and this and this and this, and then we become focused on something, we go on thinking. So we're chanting, and then after like 3/4 of a round, we realize that it's been half a round or more since we heard the mantra that we're chanting. So the mind is, the lips are moving and the mind is in outer space. So therefore, just in the verses previous to the one I read today, in the previous verse, in fact, Krishna says, Yito yito nischalati manas chanchalam astiva tatastato niyamnata atmanyeva vishammayet. From wherever the mind wanders because of its restless and unsteady nature, one should just bring it back. So this is our practice. The mind, we know, will wander. And the practice is just to keep bringing the mind back to the transcendental sound vibration. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada told one devotee, just try to hear yourself chant sincerely. If we try to stop the mind from wandering, that will be very hard. Stop wandering. The mind will say, I want to wander, I'm here to wander, I'm going to wander. But if you give the mind something to wander to, then you're good. A point to return to. Come back here, come back here, come back here. You just say stop, the mind will say, I'm not going to stop, I'm active by nature. It's like a child. You try to tell the child, stop, and the child will stop for 30 seconds. But if you give the child something to do, then the child becomes busy, the child becomes... To stop the mind is not possible. The impersonalists, that's what they try to do. In Buddhists, oh my goodness, how hard it is to still the mind, to reach the realm of no thought. And we're thinking about reaching the realm of no thought. Very difficult, just to try to reach emptiness of mind. Doesn't work. Even just to think of now. Now keeps moving and it's not easy to do. Just focus the mind on the transcendental sound. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. By this practice will progress. Wherever the mind goes, just say, my dear mind, please, time to come. What's the meaning of Traja? Is she the wife of Agnidev? I don't know. Why do we say, Svaha during the fire sacrifice? What does it represent? It represents an offering to the fire. Any other questions?
Sorry, we've got some questions from the congregation.
Okay, we have WhatsApp or some such.
Yeah, shall I be copying Maharaj?
When we criticize someone, we have heard that it's because we are battling with that bad quality within us. Is this the correct thinking? I don't know if it's the correct thinking or not. I actually haven't seen it in Shastra. I think it's sort of common wisdom, common thought, like a truism, especially from the world of self-improvement and things like that. I don't know if it's a Shastra statement, so I have nothing to say about it. And how to curb the critical mind. Criticize the Mayavadis, criticize the materialists, criticize the demons. There's full scope. You have a critical mind, you're one of those people who likes to find fault with the materialists, find fault with the Mayavadis, find fault with all of the, our movement is great. If you're a fault finder, we have plenty of scope for you. You can write articles for Back to Godhead or other publications, criticizing materialistic point of view. Great. Why do we see prominent ISKCON people almost offering a do-good, feel-good solution to life's challenges, especially on social media, instead of direct, as it is, Krishna consciousness? Why do we see this? Probably because we go to YouTube. But your question is, why are they doing it? I guess they have a strategy. And how well the strategy works, I don't know. I don't do it, so I'll talk to them. How do we know what is humility in a person? Let me just think if there's anything else I want to say. I'm sure they have a strategy, and you can talk to them about their strategy and how well it's working, and what they like about it, what they don't like about it. I'm just the one person. And also because I criticize the Mayavadis, the materialists, and so I'm trying not to criticize common in this country. How do we know what is humility in a person? Humility, well, let's see. Amanina, manadina. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that one is willing to offer respect to others. He doesn't. Humility. I'm trying to think if there's some analysis on what humility consists of. To be one simply directed to be humble. The example is there of the grass. Everybody walks on the grass. The grass never says, "Hey, who do you think you are? Stop walking on it." The grass never protests. Every tree is tolerant when people strip its bark, people carve hearts and letters into it, people take its fruit, take its leaves, pull off its branches, and the tree just tolerates. Or you can know by example. You see Sanatana Goswami, he's the learned scholar, he's a government minister, he's surrounded by aristocratic people, he's highly qualified, he comes from a Brahmin family, and he approaches Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and says, people say that I'm learned, they address me as Panditji or learned man, but I'm such a learned man that I don't know who I am, so you please instruct me. We can know what it is, rather than theoretically, we can see the humble behavior of the devotees. Kaviraj Goswami, so many examples of humble, practically it's the characteristic of a devotee. So of seeing their qualities, we can understand what humility is. Out of all the qualities of the devotee, which is the most important to develop? Developing all might take a long time. Is the most important quality. One might say that humility is the most important list of qualities of knowledge. Humility stands first. Because if we don't have humility, how will we develop Krishna consciousness? If I'm proud, if I'm arrogant, if I think I'm Prabhupada comments sometimes humility is the beginning. Elsewhere, Prabhupada comments that the most important item on the list is Paichana Vidyogena Bhakti Yoga devotion to Krishna, which is the final point of all of these qualities. What continues to motivate you in your devotional life? Oh, peer pressure, false prestige. They don't pay me anything. But Srila Prabhupada came and gave us something, and we earned it. Is it better to stay together with one's spouse and struggle in the relationship and maintain the dharma of marriage, or should one look to find a more perfect situation? You should look to find a more perfect situation. That means you have to look beyond this material world to the spiritual world. That's the only place where there's any perfect situation. Now we're in the imperfect material world, and every relationship is going to have its problems. With your spouse, with your parents, with your children, with your friends, with your boss, with your employees, with your friends, Romans, country, all of your relationships are going to have rocks on the path. So one is advised to look for a more perfect situation beyond this material world. Get out of this material world and go. These relationships aren't eternal, these spousal relationships or any others. So why should we be all stuck on them? Look toward the eternal relationship with Krishna, which is the only relationship that will really be perfect. Relationship with Krishna or in relationship with Krishna. Apart from that, yeah, if you're married, stick with it, because switching isn't going to make you more happy. This is the principle. Marriages, I mean, if you were expecting it was all going to be roses and nightingales and butterflies and strawberry fields forever, then somebody gave you the wrong information. Whatever it is, it's built up to be so much better and rosier than it is. It is what it is. Take it for what it is and carry on. And there's no guarantee that after your second or third or fourth husband or wife, you'll get anything better. And in fact, statistically, according to the research of people who do these things, the number of divorces, the number of second divorces is higher than the first divorces, and third, it goes on like that. If you're dissatisfied the first time, you'll be even more dissatisfied the second time, even more dissatisfied the third time, statistically speaking. Maybe someone's going to find true love, bliss, happiness, satisfaction, fulfillment and freedom from all unhappiness in the second or third or fourth marriage, but it's doubtful.
I have a question related to this, what you're telling us. It's always stressed that we should hate the bad quality of a person, not the person. But for mind, not to hate the quality, not to hate the person is difficult. Mind will identify the bad trait with the particular person. So how can we train our mind not to dislike the person, just to...
How can we train the mind not to dislike the person just as easily? It's hard for me to say because I dislike so many people. In fact, I dislike almost everyone. And there are people who deserve to be disliked, really, by the majority. But by knowledge, by jnana chakshi, by spiritual knowledge, you should see that finally this person that I like or dislike, or I'm lukewarm toward, is a spiritual living being. These qualities that I like or dislike are acquired from the material nature. They were there for some time, and they come with the body, they go with the body. So what is it that it's okay to say about? By spiritual knowledge. So one has to become advanced to see that. First-class devotee sees that everyone's a devotee, everyone's engaged in Krishna's service. That's the vision of a Paramahansa. We can't imitate that and suddenly catapult to that platform of divine vision. But it's advised that we should try to discriminate this way, that we should love Krishna, make friends with the devotees, be merciful to the materialists, to those who are less advanced, and avoid the demons. Those weaknesses.
And the inoffensive chanting, one day will help us.
Oh, inoffensive chanting or offensive chanting?
Inoffensive.
Inoffensive chanting, not one day will help us, that will help us immediately. If we can chant inoffensively, there will be so much benefit. Even offensive chanting will help us, because gradually we'll come to the clearing stage and then the offenseless chanting. By offenseless chanting, you get love for Krishna. Offenseless chanting is the goal. By the way, anyone else can raise their hand? Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Now, if you have a sadhana plan...
You have sadhana practice.
So when you're doing sadhana practice, I think doesn't matter what stage, how many years you've been in the movement, there's only so many rounds you can chant in a day, because we have contaminated senses. There's only so much you can read, there's only so much you can hear classes. So eventually, because the contaminated senses, you need a fix, whether it's TV or something.
No, you don't.
Contaminated senses.
Stop right there, you don't need it. It's like, contaminated senses are giving contaminated information.
Yeah.
And that's wrong information.
So how do you get out of that? That's the question.
Chant Hare Krishna. Basically tell the mind to get lost. Tell it, sorry, suggestion rejected. That's the it's not that, oh gosh, I OD'd on devotional service. Now I need, a shot of Maya to even me out. To be always engaged in Krishna's service is the happy platform. Laxity, okay, now let me kick back and watch television.
This is how it actually works. I understand what you're saying. But in most people, that's how it works. So how can we reduce it? How can we...
First of all, ditch your television. If you have a 2-story house, go up to the 2nd story, take your television with you, and throw it over the wall. Proven 100% effective.
So
and if you need a break from chanting, that's really a great break.
Application is difficult.
But one has to be serious with it. We all struggle with this. The mind wants to say, come on, just, whatever it is that presses our material buttons. The mind says, come on, wouldn't this be good? Don't we need this? At least give me 10 minutes, which of course becomes 9.5. So the same advice, the Yuto Nishcholati, whenever the mind wanders, we have to bring it back by good association. If we associate with television watchers, rugby players, drunkards, women hunters, whatever it is, people who like to talk about mundane topics, and in their association be encouraged to do those things. Yes, whether it's really super nasty or just time wasting, There's some people that just like to waste time and chat your ear off with useless topics. Associate with them and you pick up the same. But therefore, we're advised to associate with those who are serious, who are advanced in devotional service. So we pick up their association.
Sometimes you find that just you take that 1 hour out. I know it's wrong. The 1 hour out from sadhana, then you move prepared to come back and restart. Otherwise, there's no start and there's no finish. That's how it seems to work.
You know, it's just, no, it doesn't really work. That sadhana gets improved if I take an hour out for Britain's Got Talent. It's just not so.
I used to be so full.
It doesn't improve the quality of sadhana. It may, make me feel temporarily okay, but it doesn't. There's no recommendation in Shastra that if you'd like to improve your sadhana, just take out an hour for television or rugby. It doesn't work that way. Rather, these are impediments.
Are we normally trying to finish our rounds quickly because we've got so many material things to do?
The thing to do instead of that is to address the quality of your round. Is to say, why should I do this? If I'm going to chant for 2 hours, do I really want to spend 2 hours thinking about when is the 2 hours going to be over? Or do I want to think about looking forward to investing those 2 hours? Do I want to think about the opportunity to associate with the holy name of Krishna during those 2 hours? Do I want to think about the pure devotees who immerse themselves in chanting Hare Krishna? Do I want to maybe meet the challenge of focusing my mind for 2 hours, like weight exercises so you build strength? And do I want to approach it that way, or do I want to approach it like, okay, 2 hours, that's it, you have a choice. Sadhana is progressive. I have, before you go on that, just before it leaves my mind, which another of my godbrothers, Maharaj, was given some valuable Japa workshops. One of his followers, I think, put together a little book called Japa Affirmations. You know what affirmations are, right? Those little things you put on your mirror that says, I face the world with confidence, or, all these affirmations. And personally, I hate affirmations as a drug. I just despise it. In every way, every day, I'm getting better. Yeah, feeling great. But this particular book of affirmations, although I hate the genre, is really good. It's really good. Begins, the first affirmation is, I look forward to chanting my japa every day. Now, I do a little number in my head on affirmations because I don't really like the genre, so I turn that around to something like, I want to look forward to, or I should look forward to, or I hope to look forward to. I don't quite put myself in a hiding. But if affirmations work for you, to take it as it is, or else if you're like me, moving around a little bit. But the idea is that having that attitude that this is something to look forward to, not something to dread or to endure or so on, changes the quality of our chanting. If we look forward to, if you look to something as a grind, it will be a grind. And if you look to something as a lifting experience, it's not just automatic, but if you look toward it as an uplifting and happy experience, that will make a difference.
It's a decision.
Yeah, it's a mindset. Even start the night before. This is something. This is not Shastra, but from the world of psychology. If you set your mind up for what you're going to, like you make a checklist of what you're going to do the next day, so your mind is like now plugged into, tomorrow I'm going to attack that job that's been waiting for 3 months, and I'm going to get on top of it and do it. And then the next morning, your mind is full of all the thoughts of how you're going to do it, because you focused your mind in advance. Well, I have to get up for a flight at 3 in the morning, so I'm going to program my mind. I'm going to set my alarm. I'm going to, then it's not so hard to do. I just say, okay, it's 3 o'clock and 1:30 and most recent flight. So I get up and then go. So if your mind is set the night before, tick a little box or set a little Google alert or whatever it is in your head. And, tomorrow I get to chant 16 times, or 4 or 2, or however many you're chanting. Wow, start with that mindset and see what that is. That's basically I found in the first affirmation from Mahatma. He has if you're on YouTube and seeing all these critical things about devotees and all that kind of stuff, instead you might want to go to Mahatma Prabhu's channel and see what he has to say about Japa. Take your time to understand. Even that hour for Britain has talent if you instead go to Mahatma's site. Yes. Is there a secret for success in Krishna consciousness? Yes, chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. 8. Does it matter if I don't make it to 16 rounds in this life? Is a number so important, or can just try to be clean-hearted in what I can do? I'm assuming you haven't promised to chant 16 rounds, that you're not initiated, because then it certainly makes a difference. Otherwise, does it make a difference? I have to say it makes a difference, yes. And 16 rounds is not such a heavy thing that in this life you'll never make it. 16 rounds is about 2 hours, something like that. And there is enough time in the day. In this life, even when you're old, you won't have a lot of work to do anyway, and might as well chant 16 rounds. But even before then, it's not that hard. Yes, it's hard to go from 4 to 16, and just go from 4 to 6, from 6 to 8. You'll make it. It's not that hard. And, well, I could just try to be pure-hearted, but what does that mean? I'll just try to be pure. There must be some process. Will I develop muscles just by thinking that my muscles will develop? I should have strong muscles. I want to have strong. It doesn't work that way. You do your push-ups or your sit-ups or whatever it is, and your muscles get stronger. And you look at it and say, oh, I don't think I can do 32 push-ups. But first you do 4, then you do 6, and then you do 32. I don't, but those who do these things. It is possible. And, it starts off like, impossible, I couldn't do that. I couldn't lift this much. I couldn't do that many. What's in a number anyway? But these numbers help us. It's a kind of discipline. It's a kind of strength. And yes, it does make a difference. Otherwise, why would be told you to just chant some number of rounds every day? No, because it does something. Why do they say 2 tablets a day? Well, because one doesn't do it. Why for 12 days? Because 8 days doesn't do it. But if you follow the course prescribed by the physician, then it will have the effect. Yes, it does matter. If there's some tremendously extenuating circumstances, some crippling disability or something, no, then, Krishna is merciful. Nothing, it's not the number written in the sky somewhere that you have to reach and then all the magic happens, and otherwise you go to hell. It's not like that. But assuming that you're fit and that there's no reason really that you can except feeling discouraged or finding it difficult. Yes, it matters, and as you progress in doing it, you'll see there's a benefit. It takes longer. Some people, 2 days and they're chanting 16 minutes. Other people, like years. But just build up your strength. Chant Hare Krishna. Try to chant with attention and devotion, and Krishna will help you. Like diamonds, do they have to cost? Isn't it well? Sweetheart, yes, they do. And if you want costume jewelry, it's cheap. So we know our goal is not cheap. We're trying to reach Krishna. So something. Following on then, okay, 9 tells on. If I can't reach 16, I can't get initiated, right? So where will that leave me at the time of death? It will leave me someplace short. Will Krishna look at me and say, you didn't get initiated? It's not that Krishna looks and says you didn't get initiated, but look at yourself. If you're serious, then you do what you need to do. It requires enthusiasm. It requires patience. It requires determination. Krishna, it's not that Krishna, of course I'm not speaking, here's what Krishna will say, but Krishna could very well say, well, yeah, you're interested in me, but you didn't really have the enthusiasm, you didn't really have the determination, did you? You kind of wanted to do it, but 2 hours was too much for you, and it wasn't because your day is shorter than everybody else's, and really have so many pressing things to do that nobody else has to do. We have heads of corporations, multi corporations with multiple businesses who chant 16 rounds a day. We have people who do so many things, and they chant 16 rounds a day. I might suggest, by the way, if you're having trouble chanting 16 or however many, start in the morning. Chant 16 rounds a day during the day is hard because everything else is competing. So start in the morning, early in the morning, get up to, first thing is go to bed early. Now that's not that hard. Okay, maybe you can't chant 16 rounds a day. You can go to bed, right? But go to bed early. And turn off your television, close your laptop, put everything else aside, and get between the covers and go to sleep. Step 1. Step 2, get up the next morning. Early. Now how early, that may differ from person to person, but get up early. We recommend at least an hour and a half before sunrise, because that is a really spiritually charged part of the day. Everything is peaceful at that time of the things haven't started. Keep your phone off and don't get any messages left over from the night before. Keep your laptop closed, because otherwise your laptop may get the better of you. Gadgets off. If you have a place that's like the place where you chant, that's great, because that puts you further in your mindset. If you have like a temple room or a favorite corner place that when I'm sitting here, this is what I do, I'm just chanting. So get up early, take your bath, chant Hare Krishna. And you may very well be surprised at how many rounds and how much you like chanting Hare Krishna at that time of day. So that is the easiest and most beneficial method. Just take advantage of those early morning hours. But then what else are you going to do during that time? You can sleep, which is a waste of the best time of the day. Total waste. Even my grandfather, he wasn't Krishna conscious, but he used to get up and do things early in the morning. It's the most productive time, it's the most peaceful time, it's the time with the greatest clarity. Invest that time, don't lose that time, that early morning time. Most of the world is sleeping right through it. It's sleeping right through it, missing the best part of the day. Or else, they're getting up early, throwing a cup of coffee down their mouth and running off to work someplace. Try to get up early, chant Hare Krishna. Alternatively, Prabhupada, another system is, 4 rounds before breakfast, 4 rounds before lunch, 4 rounds before dinner. You do have time to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that's understood. Now, what is that 4 rounds? Don't be half an hour. Okay, before breakfast, before lunch, before dinner, 4, 4, 4. Now you're 12 and chant 4 rounds in a row. If you're serious, if you're determined, if you're enthusiastic, keep good association, and keep the other things out. Just keeping the other things out goes a long way. Television off, phone off, laptop off, everything else off, and focus. Now is my time to chant. In previous times, even still sometimes today, the biggest industrialists in India, if you called them like 7 in the morning or something, their secretary would say, "I'm sorry, Mr. Birla's doing his puja." The biggest, most engaged men in the country would have the early morning time reserved for worshiping Krishna, for meditation, for worship, for chanting, for reading spiritual topics. They would invest that time, and then they get on with it. Well, this is real life. Modern life is all twisted and contorted. But the simple, natural way of life is you get up early in the morning, and your early morning time, that's the time when you set the direction of your day by focusing your mind on God, on Krishna. And the easy way to meditate is to chant. Don't be discouraged. Maintain your enthusiasm. Be patient. Everything takes time. An engine that makes everything run. And Krishna will help you.
That's the last question.
Yeah, I was about to ask. Yeah. Oh, and it is the last question. What would our response be to the rise of right-wing global politics? Should we enter politics to present the alternative? Well, this sounds like my response would be left-wing global politics. No, we're not for right-wing, left-wing. We're for Krishna consciousness. Left-wing is Maya, right-wing is Maya. It's not that, right-wing is like Maya, and left-wing is like, now we're talking. Choose your Maya, right-wing or left-wing. There was a cartoon, I think it's a Larson cartoon, but anyway, it's a cartoon, and it showed these like rocky, craggy stairs, and there's some hapless man who's being prodded down the stairs by a devil with a pitchfork. And there's 2 doors. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. And the caption says, choose. Right wing or left wing politics. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Let's chant Hare Krishna. And if you'd like further political advice, see me private.
His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj ki
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Gaur Premananda.
Thank you. Let's give Maharaj Kiran more praise. Thank you for inspiring us and answering so many questions and doubts. Thank you so much. Just want to give hand over to Prabhu who's traveling with Maharaj. Is Jyoti Prabhu. We can go for him, please. And our ISKCON Lester, who I think is gone. Prabhu is gone? Okay, now we're going to have Aarti, so let's all stand up. Thank you so much.